James Harden is redefining what it means to be a selfish basketball player. 2 years ago, he showed up to Rockets camp so out of shape, people thought he was wearing a fat suit. Then when he didn't like what was happening in Brooklyn, he intentionally played like a bad high school player. Now, with the Sixers on a win streak and Joel Embiid playing like an MVP, he leaks that he wants to go back to Houston? Dude cares about no one but himself. Weird. I never would have guessed that about a guy who wears this pregame outfit. Anything can happen. But sure enough, when he was asked about it in the locker room, he didn't deny it. Why would you ask me about that on Christmas, man? You didn't even say Merry Christmas or anything. You asked me about something that I'm not answering. I didn't see nothing. Oh, notice how he didn't say, that is fake news, but he was caught off guard, okay. What about like 30 minutes later at the press conference?
I'm here, we're playing very, very well, and yeah, I don't know where that report came from, but I'm excited to be here, and we're playing well, and we're continuing to get better.
If he cared about his teammates or their season or winning a championship, he would say, that is not true, total BS, I am committed to Philly. Instead, he leaves the door open. Great Christmas present, Joel Embiid. Hope you like drama. You actually feel bad. First, Embiid's got Ben Simmons, now this guy. It would be such a huge setback if this happens. Philly gave up Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and 2 firsts for Harden to just go back to Houston. But how is this Harden giving up on basketball? Because of something Stephen A. Smith said. But first, today's sponsor is Prize Picks. I've been playing all season long, and it makes every random Friday night game feel like Game 7 of the NBA Finals. I want to tell you my picks for tonight, but it's kind of like playing fantasy basketball, but instead of you against someone else, it's you against the projections. So today I'm going with Domantas Sabonis, points, rebounds, and assists against the Jazz, and Jimmy Butler's projected steals against the Nuggets at 1.5, and I'm gonna go more on both, and I am going with 20 bucks here. And remember, you can play Prize Picks in tons of states across the United States, like California or Florida or Texas. If you want to play with me, download the app right now, and on your first deposit, use promo code AMHOOPS, and they will match that deposit up to 100 bucks. Thanks again to Prize Picks. Now, he could be wrong. There are actually 2 ways that Harden could flip the script on everybody and win a championship, but I will explain all of that. What Stephen A. Smith said is Houston's the only team that could give Harden a max contract. The Rockets will have almost $60 million in cap space this summer, which is enough for a full max. Harden intentionally took less money this year so that Philly could sign other players, and now he wants to get that money back. But why did he leave Houston to begin with? To win a championship. The Rockets had built around Harden for 7+ years and only got to a conference finals. Meanwhile, everyone is saying that Harden's overrated. So according to a report, Harden told the Rockets, I want to come back here and retire, but first you gotta go let me win a title. Well, if he goes back now, it is all about the money. And Harden has officially accepted he's never gonna win a championship, and he's just playing now for as much cash as he can possibly get. Which would be a sad ending to his career, because I actually respected Harden's mission to prove everybody wrong. They all said he can't win a championship, but he wanted to show that he can. But there are 2 ways none of this is actually true. One of them is so ridiculous, I can't even believe I'm saying it out loud. But the first way is he doesn't actually want to go back to Houston. He's just creating leverage to get more money out of Philly. Part of the reason he didn't get a max last year is no one was going to offer him big money. So why would Philly bid against themselves? But if a Rockets max is dangled out there, he can say, you know, I'd love to return here to Philly, but I mean, you have to compete with this huge offer. His other motivation, though, for floating this rumor is insane. What if Harden actually thinks he can be like LeBron returning to Cleveland? When LeBron left from Miami, the team had nothing. But in the years that he was gone, they got a bunch of young talent, bunch of picks. So when LeBron returned, they built around him. They traded Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love. They signed savvy veterans. What if Harden thinks the Rockets will do that for him? Trade Jalen Green, because they both need the basketball. Get that kid out of here. Sign another big free agent with all that cap space they have, and win a chip in Houston like LeBron did for Cleveland. Of course, there are a million ways why that is absolutely delusional, but Woj said something that makes me very worried about the Rockets front office.
Houston would like to make a jump next season. They have cap space. They've got all these very good young players, but I think they would like, with whether it's James Harden or another free agent, to jump up and get closer to the postseason in the Western Conference.
What? They want to get in the playoffs next year with James Harden? That would be so dumb for their young players. Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. need the ball in their hands to develop. Alperen Şengün is like a baby Jokic who's sort of the fulcrum of the offense at center. He's not a hardened big man who's just a lob threat. And James Harden is still a guy who dribbles the air out of the ball. And what if they somehow get Victor Wembanyama? You don't want his first taste of an NBA culture to be in that environment. Harden is toxic. It is all about him. Even Russell Westbrook couldn't stand the way that Houston did things with Harden in control. Not to mention he's 34 years old. So we all agree with Bill Simmons that the Rockets should release a statement, no thanks, we're good. But did they do that? No. You'll note that no one from Houston has exactly rushed to rule it out. Rockets owner Tillman Fertitta is widely presumed to be antsy to see his team reclaim a measure of relevance. What? That backs up what Woj said. This man Fertitta is gonna ruin what his front office is building again. After he bought the team in 2019, he claimed Chris Paul's contract was the worst he had ever seen, in business or in sports. So he forced the GM to trade CP3 for Russell Westbrook in control of 4 first-round picks. One of the dumbest trades in NBA history. Chris Paul immediately got back to being an all-star, made an NBA Finals. Russ has gotten worse every year. And having Russ led Houston to trade for John Wall, who actually had the worst NBA contract. So Fertitta kind of got his wish. Now, just when they are building something with Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün, Jabari Smith, maybe a top 3 pick, he is about to ruin it by signing James Harden. This is what you get when you have an owner who thinks he's a basketball expert just because he was successful in business. Other guys like James Dolan, Robert Sarver, Vivek Ranadive were like this. The worst thing in sports you can have is a bad owner because it can last for decades. Always getting a new coach or getting a new GM, getting different players, but the one constant is the dude at the very top. Now, the way to tell if the Rockets are actually serious about this is if they keep Eric Gordon at the trade deadline. He is a decent shooter, but he doesn't make sense on a young team. And if they don't trade Gordon for assets, that means they might actually want to pair him with Harden next year. But maybe this trade rumor is fake, and all Harden's trying to do is just get more money out of Philly and not admit he's a loser, give up on basketball, and actually win a championship. But if not, Harden is admitting he will never win, and he's just playing for a paycheck. But somehow, if you poll NBA fans across the entire country, there is one guy who is hated more than James Harden, hated more than Kyrie Irving, and that is LeBron James, which makes almost no sense because he's supposed to be the second best player all time to Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan is the most popular NBA player of all time. So how did LeBron, number 2 to MJ in greatness, become the most hated NBA player? I lay out the entire reason how LeBron ruined his own reputation right here.